years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not thousands, only a few hundred.
Yeah.
Anyways, that one generated a quite large island a few kilometers away from the city.
Yeah.
So, Auckland is very interesting in the fact that there's probably like a good 10 or 15 islands, like also very, very close to like our main port and everything like that.
Nice.
Now, remember how I said that like the top of New Zealand is very narrow?
Yeah.
Auckland is at the narrowest point. So,
Oh. So do you have like ocean on both sides of it?
yeah, we actually have two ports. So we have a port on the west side of our country and the east side of our country.
Nice.
And they are about... They're less than 10 kilometers away from each other.
Wow. Damn.
So that's a funny one. At its narrowest, though, Auckland gets to like 2 kilometers across, west coast to east coast.
Holy crap.
So
That's
it is not mega wide.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, north of Auckland and stuff, there's like different bush rain. Well, I don't know if it gets enough rain to be classified as a rainforest, but regardless, it's like super dense foliage everywhere. Like, if you try to walk, you would literally need a machete to move anywhere. Hey, cool.
Damn.
Level 1.
I am giving Inspectionsquid New Zealand lesson. Okay.
Alright.
Not too much interruption. Okay. So that's kind of like what the bush and stuff is around the Upper North Island and stuff. Of course, for Auckland and stuff as well, there's like tons of hills and everything because of all the volcanoes and such.
Yeah.
So that's a funny one. So outside of Auckland, you start to move south, and then that brings you towards lots of, like, this is kind of where like the start of major like farming land and everything is.
Yeah.
Keep in mind as well, since like we're near volcanoes and everything at this point, that it's also some of the most fertile land in New Zealand.
Yeah. What kind of crops are grown in that soil?
So we don't actually have like a huge amount of crop farming. Most of our agriculture is actually like animal based.
Oh, okay, I see.
So we per capita have like basically the largest dairy industry, and then also the largest sheep industry as well. So like
Nice.
wool and everything like that. Wool, lamb, etc.
Uh-huh.
So you don't tend to get a lot of like planting for growing crops and stuff like that. A lot of the time you will actually just get lots and lots of like grass and everything. So literally almost all livestock is grass fed in New Zealand.
Nice.
So the most common crop that I do see though is things like you do see some corn.
Yeah.
You never see any wheat. You get some strawberries. You get like zucchinis, lettuce. I think I've seen cauliflower and broccoli. Different things like that. You get quite a lot of vineyards and stuff like that around the north as well.
Neat.
So lots of stuff like that. But the primary, like when you like get a okay distance away from Auckland where land prices go down considerably, then you can get huge amounts of livestock and everything like that. That's our primary thing. Isn't New Zealand like 2 islands close together? Do people live on the northern one? I think the cities, I know Wellington, Auckland, both on the South Island. No, they're both in the North Island. So Auckland has a population of 1.75 million, which is actually it might be closer to 2 million now. Let me check. Okay, actually, it's more like 1.6, but it depends on the way that you're classifying the region of it. So we'll say it's 1.6 million out of the 5 million. So it's not too far off of a third of the population of New Zealand in a single city. So anyways, continuing to move down from Auckland now, about 120 k's away, I think. No, sorry, about 100 k's flat is Wellington. It's kind of like southeast, that kind of thing. This area is kind of now starting to get really towards like where people are doing most of the like farming and everything like that. So Wellington is kind of like the area that is closest to like, it's like the most connected to where people are doing farming, etc.
Yeah.
Out of the major cities. It's built on a large river called the Waikato River. It's the largest river in New Zealand, I believe. It flows, I believe it flows all the way from Taupo. And then Taupo is fed by, yeah, so it basically flows like for like a quarter of the length of the North Island is the Waikato River. And Wellington is basically the largest city built on the Waikato. So you've got that large river town there and everything like that, and it is what is like helping supply water and everything like that, helping the city build and all of that. And then as well, like you've got it providing water to all of the different towns and everything like that along the Waikato, etc.
Yeet.
Okay, so that's the Waikato, basically like farming and such, and near a river, etc. Helping keep that area with water supplies and all of that so that things can be well tended to there. Moving down from Hamilton, you have some notable port cities, well, I would more call them towns. Tauranga on the east coast. West coast is New Plymouth, that's also more like a port city, involves around trading and then also like sheep farming and stuff. Towards the central North Island, we've got a large lake, Lake Taupo. This is considered to be one of the 3 largest recorded volcanoes to have ever erupted on Earth.
Yeet. Sorry, I missed a little bit of what you were saying just now because I was super focusing, but I caught a little bit of it. The old ninjas.
Yeah. You didn't miss too much. I just pointed out some port cities. Center of the North Island is Lake Taupo. It's around 10 to 20 kilometers across. It's the like 3rd largest volcano known to have erupted on Earth.
Nice.
And that entire lake is the crater of the volcano.
Wow.
The volcano, well, the lake, sorry, has its water fed to it by water coming down from the largest mountain, which is also a volcano. Mount Ruapehu. Essentially, water melts because it's up by like snow and everything. Like it's up very high, so you get snow and everything there. And eventually, the ice melts, and that feeds Lake Taupo, which then feeds the Waikato River, which the Waikato ends kind of like 20-30 kilometers south of Auckland.
Nice.
Okay, and then
we have a similar type of volcano in the U.S. Yellowstone National Park, which some people think it's going to erupt relatively soon. Relatively soon, as in a few hundred years, but yeah, that'd be scary.
Taupo is considered to be quite a bit more dormant than Yellowstone.
Yeah, I would hope so. That seems like it would wipe out a lot of stuff.
Yeah, sorry for interrupting, but wouldn't Yellowstone actually be more like deadly than the volcano Lon's talking about?
I think so,
Well, I just-
technically, but I mean, they're similar.
Yeah.
No, like they're on the
maybe.
same kind of scale. However, if Yellowstone went, it would be a lot more impactful. There's
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
question about it.
I feel like in terms of population, no way, because I feel like the U.S. has much more of a bigger population than New Zealand. So
Yeah.
But then also population density as well.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I was gonna say. The area where
California
Yellowstone
is-
is, there's not a. I guess yeah, there's
Taupo-
California, but then you have
Taupo
like
is at its closest. Well, Lake Taupo is a city, but it's also a town. But it only has like 10 or 20,000
ah
people
damn
there.
it. That was so close to being a gold. That would have been hilarious if I got a casual gold while
learning about like New Zealand or something.
yeah.
Yeah, New Zealand history.
Oh,
Hello, Rob.
hey Rob.
He wants the New Zealand lesson in real time.
Right, dude.
He was in
You have
Switch
to
Jack.
understand, you have to understand. I want to be a social studies teacher and teaching world geography. So like,
So you've got a lot
this
of.
kind of shit is literally what I'm doing.
Well, hey, if you want to ask me any questions about New Zealand, I'm happy to answer them to the best of my ability.
I mean, clearly I've already shown them a fucking idiot.
Hey, because like, are you actively teaching as well?
No, not yet.
No. Okay. Well, if you do need to, feel free to call me.
Dude.
I can attempt to tell them some stuff.
Unfortunately,
Probably
we just
HR
try to
would
do
love
like an overview of a bunch of places. So like New Zealand kind
You
of
can't have
accepted,
them
I
spend.
feel like
You
I
can't have
feel-
them
I
spending
feel
an hour
like-
on New Zealand alone.
probably not. Probably honestly, it would probably be like maybe a couple of days together on like Australia and New Zealand. That'd be like.
Wait,
And
what?
honestly, probably barely even mention the other Pacific Islands.
Yeah, you've got so like the Cook Islands and Niue. Both
Look,
of
the
them.
Islands are New Zealand.
They are. It's a little bit complicated. This is actually one that I want to figure out a little bit more because I haven't looked too much at this. But essentially, like,
Is this gonna be the cause of a war? Like,
no, absolutely not, absolutely not.
Like war over the Cook Islands.
It- Yeah, no. Also, I love it how Inspectionsquid is just
Struggling with this fucking Patchy, dude. He's such a. Oh my god. He just cursed the run, but this run's good enough that I can keep it. It's just. I
Okay,
fucking
cool,
hate
let's
Patchy.
inject it. Let's inject it with more New Zealand.
I was gonna say, you better go
Yeah,
world
as
record
soon as-
because this is gonna be the best world record time.
I hope so.
Okay.
As soon as you stop talking about New Zealand like the entire time, his run was good crap. So you gotta like start talking more about
Yeah,
it.
yeah. See, Carl, stop distracting me. Okay, so
What? What did I even do? I just like started talking.
no, I'm faster. Anyways, so
Fuck.
when it comes to the Cook Islands, and so when it comes to the Cook Islands and Niue, think of them like being a Commonwealth country, but a lot earlier in the Commonwealth, I guess you could say. So like the UK is still kind of, being involved in things like that, etc. And influencing things a lot more. So that's kind of New Zealand's relationship with Niue and the Cook Islands, so much as my understanding. There's like free travel and work and stuff like that, I believe, between them. I could be wrong, but at least you can go like visa free and everything like that between them. There's like close ties between the country, and there's Pacific Islanders and such make up a decent percentage of the overall demographic in New Zealand.
This is probably gonna be an impossible thing.
Boom, baby.
Yeah.
But like, relatively speaking, where even is Dubai? I've heard.
Niue. Okay, I'm just gonna guess before I even look at the map. Okay, I'm gonna
Alright,
say
hang
it
on, let me look up the
is-
world map that I have next to me.
Okay,
I don't
you
think
might
Niue
have
is on
you
it.
might have a hard time finding it.
I don't think Niue is
Elon, I have a
probably
question
on
too.
Yes.
I got a question too. What continent is New Zealand a part of?
it. Oceania.
Is that even a continent?
So
mean, it's
technically,
a region.
New Zealand is actually on its own continental shelf. However, New Zealand is the only part that actually leaves the ground. Therefore, it is not considered a continent by classical terms or whatever. So, in terms of tectonic plates, and if sea levels were much lower, New Zealand would be a continent. However, by all intents and purposes, and any sources that you would ask or whatever for a strict definition of a continent, no, it is not, and it is not part of one.
I think it's one of those things where it depends on your exact definition of continent. That's why, like, honestly, I prefer using the term region. Because, like,
Yeah, that's.
there's
As a
7
region,
continents,
we would be counted
like-
as part of Oceania.
but, like, for example, even though they're not continents, there are 2 places in the world that I would say are definitely unique regions compared to areas around them, which are Latin America, which is very different than both North and South America.
Oh yeah.
And then you also have the Middle East, which is very different than Africa and Asia. And honestly, you could even make the Caribbean be its own region as well. So like,
Doesn't
even
that already have its
Oceania,
own
Oceania, yeah, every island is gonna have its own unique thing. But like,
Can I just say that second to last dodge from the swinging free
Oh,
swinging
yeah.
thing, Squid? That was clutch.
Yeah, I that was in one of those weird limbo moments where I didn't know if I should just
Yeah.
go for it, like the one that was available to me, or to like jump around it, and I ended up jumping around it just to be safe.
I thought the run was dead there. Honestly, you got so close to that. That was clutch, dude.
Yeah.
Anyways, so back to Rob's question. I believe it's like, I'm gonna say 2,200 kilometers northeast. Sorry, west.
northwest of New Zealand. How fucking
Why don't you
Okay.
just-
Shit. Okay, it's north. It's
Why don't you
north
just say,
northeast.
like-
Oh,
Or
it's
you just say, like-
northeast of New Zealand?
Yeah, I have. the
Oh, so
distance
is that like
difference.
closer to like?
But
is
it's
that
it's
what,
like
American
2,400.
Samoa?
So, and if you measure it from the tip of the North Island, yeah, it's about 2,400 k's. So, I got
probably-
I got the east-west wrong, but I got the distance right.
It's probably like closer to Hawaii
Oh,
than
so
it is
is that
New Zealand.
No, it's
Um,
northwest, but that would be closer to like Papua New Guinea.
Yeah, that would be closer to Australia and stuff and such. I don't know why I said northwest there for some reason. Rarotonga, Cook Islands, that is about like 3,000 kilometers away, and New Zealand is the closest landmass to those islands.
I know very little about Niue and Cook Islands. Literally, all I know is Cook Islands, the season of Survivor was filmed there, and Niue had. That's literally about all I know.
So one of my closer friends in like the first year or two of high school was from Niue, and then also my neighbors are from Niue.
Also, until tonight, I was totally pronouncing that island wrong.
I'm probably not pronouncing it perfectly, but
Because I always, based on the spelling, I always pronounce it like Niue.
it's definitely not that. Yeah, Niue is typically what you will hear in New Zealand media from like Pacific correspondents and such, so
Fair enough. That makes
Yeah.
more sense.
that kind of thing. So I imagine it's at least close. Any other questions about the Pacific Islands? We can get back to their relationship with New Zealand more later.
Have you ever seen the movie Moana?
Yes. I also know someone called Moana.
Nice.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Are they
Hey, Lon.
happy or pissed off that the movie was named after them?
No, no, I haven't seen
That's
them in a
close.
few years.
No.
There was someone
So
nice.
we are awaiting judgment.
I love
generally
this
the movie was fairly well received here, though.
I was gonna say, I've heard that it's very accurate to like politician culture. Like, oh shit, go. We're actually like doing our research. Shit.
Yeah, it was actually quite decently received.
Okay.
Anyway, so we were down to Taupo. Along the east coast, this is the area that I have been to the least in my life, so I apologize. My knowledge of this area is going to be completely uninformed. Well, uninformed in the perspective of most other areas in New Zealand I have actually been to. And have also, like, you know, looked up some of the, like, some different stuff about most areas of New Zealand that I've been to and such. But I know almost nothing about the east coast of the North Island.
Oh,
So,
that was so... Sorry to interrupt. That was, like, so close to golding. I was literally, like, 0.05 seconds off of a gold. Oh,
Yeah,
but
I just saw that. That was like the best I've ever seen.
that felt so good. That is the hardest mission in the whole game. It's so difficult.
crop.
It's the hardest to speedrun, that's for sure.
Honestly,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd probably agree with you. That mission
I hate
sucks.
like I hate how you just need to like get the crocodiles over the helipad perfectly, otherwise it just won't fall.
Oh, yeah.
That's, like,
Yeah.
that's what makes it like worse for me. If I
By the way, a key to that should help you guys out is aim for slightly lower than the center of the helipad always. And you tend to get it more often.
Does the croc have a shadow or whatever? Because it's probably based off of that.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
If it does, I've never.
I have never seen one.
Yeah, so I would say probably, like, think of the camera angle and then position it to where the shadow would be, I guess.
Yeah.
Where's the light source coming from? The light source coming from
Imagine this light source was coming from directly above you.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It's one of those things where I know when I more actively ran Tide 2, I just kind of got a feel for where the fuck to go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's really all you can do is like just play the game. Just be like, yeah, do you want to aim for about here-ish?
Okay,
I never really ran Tide 2.
so, east coast of New Zealand, the most notable area is, most notable areas is, Whakatane, Gisborne, and Napier Hastings. Probably, I need to look up the name of an island, I believe.
Damn it.
Oh, wait, no, there it is. Okay, so northeast of Whakatane, you guys might have heard of this, White Island. That is the volcano that erupted in New Zealand, killing, I think it killed a few dozen tourists and like tour operators and everything like that. That was like
What?
a few years ago.
Two up.
I said tourists.
If I did hear it.
I don't actually... I feel like I probably would have heard that in the news at some point, but I don't actually remember the name of it.
It was in global news and everything like that. I probably had 20 people asking me if I was dead.
Oh, okay, I see.
But you're not a tourist, so you're just like a normal.
Yes,
like,
but people had
resident.
no idea whether Auckland was even close to this place.
Yeah.
Oh
They
my
just think,
goodness,
like-
20 people died in New Zealand. Let me check in with the one New Zealander right now.
Yeah, so 22.
I'm just
fatalities.
imagining someone trying to pull that shit with everything that happens in the United States to me.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
that'd be.
Something happens in California, they're like, Rob, are you okay? Dude, I live in Massachusetts. What are you talking about?
Like that's the same with me, but
Which,
with Maine. Like, people.
if you don't know, that's literally the opposite.
Yeah. No. Like, I'm actually a lot closer to you than I thought, Rob. I'm literally in Maine, and like whenever anything happens in Maine that people hear, like they actually do ask me about it because I think Maine has like a lot less of a population than Massachusetts. So
Maine
If I am-
population is still like at least like 6 or 7 million.
Okay.
it's
I missed it.
under 1 million.
No, is it?
It is.
Hey,
It's like
that's less than the
900,000, I
population
think.
of Auckland. Cool. You're a small town boy.
I literally am.
Alright, so not under 1 million, but it is like 1 million.
Oh yeah, as of
Yeah.
2019, but I'm pretty sure that it's.
Alright,
About
that's a
little
lot
bit.
higher. Dude, that's a lot higher.
Okay. Anyways, students,
Yeah,
students. Okay,
anyways.
order.
Sorry, as usual,
yes.
Americans are making everything about them. Continue.
Yes. Sorry.
Basically. No, so that erupted 2019, I believe. Yeah, end of 2019. So that's kind of one of the most notable events to take place on the East Coast or whatever in the last while. So that's Whakatane, Gisborne, and then Napier Hastings. They're kind of known for like a lot of like what is called Art Deco style buildings and such. So it's kind of like more like just random fancy buildings from like the early 20th century or whatever. Yeah, it's considered like one of the more interesting places for architecture and such. And then I think there is I believe there's kind of like a wine vineyard culture around there, but I'm not entirely sure. I think that's still mostly isolated to the like northern section of the North Island.
Oh, that was.
Okay, so moving southwest of Napier Hastings, you get to just trying to find it. Where'd it go?
That was really close. Sorry, I might yell in the next 3 minutes if I get hit by Buster. Just FYI.
Noted. Okay, I can't find the exact spot on a map at the moment, but the area that my dad's side of the family first settled in New Zealand is southwest of Napier Hastings, more like southwest west or whatever. It's probably like 150 k's away from there. My family got into New Zealand on what is called the second New Zealand Company boat. Basically, the second lot of large settlement to be sent to, like second boat worth of large settlement to go to New Zealand or whatever. So my family has been in New Zealand for quite a lot on my dad's side, a long time. They were involved in running like farms and stuff like that. I think it's something like William Stafford Station was where he worked, was the name or something like that. Was working as a shepherd and like wool and everything like that. And that's kind of where my family originated in the country. I believe that was like early 18th century. Or something like that. Let's see.
Oh man, this is so close. I'm probably losing like a second here, but
1 second isn't bad.
yeah.
Okay, so I think. Okay, it would have been about 1840 is when my family got to New Zealand, which is when like large settlements of New Zealand started to happen.
Yeah,
that's
wasn't
when the
New
first
Zealand-
one would have arrived.
Wasn't New Zealand not even
North-
discovered until the 1700s?
Well, not discovered by Europeans.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
well, I mean, by the rest of the world, it wasn't discovered.
Yeah.
I'll finish with the North Island and then I'll go over the whole discovery of New Zealand and such, because the South Island wasn't as
what?
involved in the whole discovery of it and such. I'll get to it, cool. Okay?
No, I'm
So,
just talking about Squid's run.
I can't believe that just golded. But here we are.
so anyways, Palmerston North, at the bottom of the North Island, so I always get confused by that. But hey, at least that makes it a memorable place name, because it's like, why did they put something and call it North and put it in the south of the island?
Yeah.
And that's because
Why
there's a
don't you just
Palmerston
say-
in the South Island, so they called it Palmerston North.
Why don't you just say north of the South Palmerston Island?
Shush. And Palmerston isn't an island. Anyway,
However you
So-
pronounce it, I don't know.
going down to the very bottom of the North Island, you get Wellington. Wellington is the capital of New Zealand, and literally no one cares about it, Kappa.
Nice.
I'm saying that just to meme. Wellington is the third largest city in New Zealand, I believe.
If
I'm just
no one
double
cares
checking
about
that.
Wellington, why is it the capital?
It's like in the center geographically of the country.
Hey, so what's the second largest city?
I'm just bringing up Christchurch, which is in the South Island, and that's where
Oh,
the
okay.
that's
you're
where the
not-
earthquake happened.
I haven't
You're-
heard of Christchurch.
Yes, in 2013 they had like a 7 point something magnitude earthquake, quite close to the surface, and I believe it killed a few thousand people.
Oof.
Nice.
Earthquakes tend to do that.
Christchurch was not known to be on a fault line. Okay, sorry, not a few thousand. That must have been a few thousand injuries, so quite a bit lower actually. 185, and it was 2011, I think. Aftershocks hit it 2013. It was quite a while back though. I was quite a bit younger. I remember I heard about it when I was having a piano lesson.
Ooh.
Like, oh yeah, you're playing piano, just keep your hands moving, don't worry about the outside
Well,
world
actually-
when you die, but it doesn't matter.
Well, okay, I
Hold
wasn't
your hands
actively
still
in.
when the earthquake do that. Like,
Technically, my sister was in her piano lesson. I was waiting with my mom after having had mine or something. But yeah, at that point though, I had already been to Christchurch like probably 3 or 4 times in my life. So it was like I've been to that place, and then seeing it on the news, and it's like you see all of these places that you have been being destroyed. Kind of
Yeah.
a interesting thing.
It's like,
So, including like large landmarks and stuff like that, things that had to be demolished for safety and such, and it's just like, damn, it completely changed the identity of the city. But we'll get to Christchurch more in a bit. Okay, so Wellington, as I said, it is the capital of New Zealand. It is an incredibly hilly area and receives like the highest amount of like average wind in the country, basically. They call it Windy Wellington for a reason.
Yeah.
And yeah, that is where we have our parliaments and everything like that. To fly between Auckland, Wellington, and Christchurch, it's actually very cheap. You can get return trips between Auckland and Wellington, which is like 800 kilometers for probably like, if you schedule it well, you can get it for like $50 US, which saves you like a 7-hour drive. So
Yeah.
that is actually
Yeah, that is a really cheap flight.
yeah, like in the U.S. Like U.S., to skip a 12-hour drive or something, you need to like pay $1,000.
I can tell you
As I
this,
said, you need to schedule it well though.
Yeah.
I can say this because I live in Massachusetts, but when I went to college, it was Virginia. So that's literally about an 11-hour drive. Or
My condolences.
hour flight, and basically every time I flew back and forth, it cost $7.
Well, I mean, hey, for me to get to Europe, that's a bit rough.
Well, yeah, I mean,
When I went to
that's
Europe,
the
I
other
think
side
it
of
took.
the other side of the world. So
I think Europe took 37 hours for me to travel to, and I think I slept about 1 hour on that whole trip.
aw, that sucks. Oh, you want
Good.
to
think- You do not need to start talking about like bad flights a lot. I'm going on a flight in like a week.
Okay,
and I don't
but
really
is
need
yours
to-
37 hours? No, Coral. It's not. Okay?
No,
Take solace
It's
in
like-
that fact.
it's 4 hours. But still, that's like,
What are you complaining about then? Flights
You
are
are not
fun!
comparing a 37-hour flight to a 4-hour flight. I thought you were gonna say like 16. I was gonna be like, well, that's still like 4-hour flight. That's fucking nothing.
Coral,
God damn.
flying is fun, okay? Flying is fun.
Flying is fun.
Having to sleep
until
on
it
a
gets-
plane, that's less
until it
fun.
gets for more than like 7 hours. more than
Yes.
7 hours, then not.
I would say even like
And even
5 or
in
6 hours, it's a
37,
bit
fuck that,
tedious.
just let
4
me-
hours is like perfect. Like you can watch a movie, you can chill out, you can like you know
Yeah.
be like, oh, let's look at the map and like you know
Relax.
exactly.
Dude, I took my 1 hour flight. I'd get on the plane. I'd fucking close my eyes and I'd wake up and I'm in a different state.
Honestly, like if I had the option to take a 4-hour flight for free, and like I didn't have anything to do at the other location, I would do
Jesus.
that.
Oh, baby.
Just for the hell of it.
Yeah. What are you complaining about?
Okay,
Well,
I was joking, first of all.
sure.
or you were.
Like, I wish you would let me, like,
Don't
say
mind
that.
us,
Like,
just
minutes
rushing
ago.
down your throat.
Yeah, like, I literally had like, no chance to ever even say that I was joking.
Perfect, Rob. We tag teamed him perfectly there.
Oh, damn it. Alright.
Okay, so anyways,
Also, I'm
clearly
assuming
Cora
that
was
your
joking.
37-hour flight wasn't like 37 hours of like no,
Yeah, it
like,
wasn't 37
actual
hours in
flight.
the air. That included transits and stuff like that, and
See,
like with fairly
sure it
long
was
transits
up
as
on
well,
the way.
because like, yeah, it was.
Well,
Forget,
including
like-
transits, mine's probably gonna be
no.
because of- like, that wasn't
Coral?
including transits. What?
Cora, when I'm saying transits, I mean like you're waiting in the airport for connecting flights.
I know.
Okay, is your flight multiple parts?
I'm taking 2 separate flights, one to one city, then one to another. But the last
Dude.
time,
Hong Kong airport is massive. I went there
Okay.
during the protests.
And then that-
The airport was closed to flight the day before because of the protests. I
Damn.
almost had my flight cancelled.
Dude, I know about having flights canceled.
Oh yeah, that's happening a lot in the United States right now.
What was it? One of the flights I took to go back home for spring break, there was a snowstorm and my flight ended up getting canceled. Then it got rescheduled. Then it got canceled again. Then I was put on layover for a 3rd flight. Didn't make it. Then I was put on layover for a 4th flight. I ended up leaving like almost 26 hours after my original.
One time
Wow.
I was flying from Vancouver to Calgary, and we basically were stuck in the air for 2 or 3 hours circling over the city because of a thunderstorm.
Where's Calgary?
Calgary is in Canada.
Well, yeah.
I'm half Canadian.
More like, well, no, I was asking like what part of
So am I.
Canada.
Oh, Alberta.
Oh,
Western Alberta specifically.
Okay.
About 100 kilometers from the US border, I believe.
alright.
You're just
I
like-
know we're Vancouver. I haven't heard of
Mhm.
that.
you're just like circling the air, waiting for it just to go away, just hoping it does, right?
Yes, and it did eventually. And then we landed, and it's like, okay, and that's it. That just added an
Look, one-
extra 2 to
one of
3
two
hours
things
to our
is gonna
20-hour trip.
Either the thunderstorm was gonna end, or they were gonna run out of fuel.
No, it's only like an hour between BC and Alberta, so they would have just turned back to the original airport or something.
Yeah, if it went on too
Or
long.
actually, I think they would have landed in Edmonton. I think that was the backup plan, and that's like 1 or 2 hours drive away from Calgary. So that's not too bad.
I remember one time my sister was stuck in Washington D.C. for a good like week before she could get back on her flight to come back to Maine. It was, yeah, I don't even know like what it was. I think it was like couldn't have been a snowstorm because it was like in the middle of spring. I mean, it probably could have been snow.
Dude,
but-
that's where I got stuck for like 26 hours.
Yeah.
Was Washington D.C. in spring. So like
That is
it was-
literally like DC is people
One
would say it's
1,000.
amazing, but according to her,
Okay, we're good.
it was like very fucking boring.
Dude, not so. It's one of those things where it depends on if you like history. If you are someone who likes history, you could spend several days in DC and love it. If you do not like any history at all, you are literally gonna have nothing to do with DC. Because
Sounds
yeah,
like
all
Rob had a
DC
terrible time.
no, I loved it.
I know,
all
that
sounds
sounds
DC
like-
like...
Sounds
all
like my sister
DC
hates
is
history then.
literally monuments and museums, and that's literally.
Sounds like my sister hates
But I
history
mean,
then.
that being said, there are some really fucking cool museums. Like, I remember there was one, it was like an international spy.
I thought you were gonna say that it was
Fuck,
an
dude.
internet cafe.
I think I
Internet
just went
cafe.
Stone. I think I just went Stone, which are fucking amazing.
Yeah, I love those.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you don't like museums, then yeah, you're gonna hate these.
And on that note, back to New Zealand.
Yeah, back to the country we're talking about. Sorry for, once again, going American-centric. But,
You know, like we gotta keep this under an hour for Squid's VOD. You know?
Yeah, if I may, this next level is very, very, very difficult.
We'll
So
keep
I-
talking about it because it seems to be working for you.
All
Okay, so
right.
anyways, you just get to it, Squid.
Yeah.
Okay, don't worry.
Honestly,
So,
this run's killing it. So even if I lost like three or 4 seconds here, I'd probably be fine.
Anyways, so let's talk about the initial settlement of New Zealand. Okay.
Yeah.
So New Zealand was first settled. Let me just Google it.
1707.
Because I don't know the exact date.
definitely 1707.
By the like other countries, not by the original.
Oh, maybe it was discovered
Okay.
then. It certainly wasn't-
So New Zealand was discovered around 700 to 800 years ago by the Maori.
11,
Oh, I thought
So
it was a lot like.
so
12,
in the medieval
13.
era.
Yeah,
okay.
but you're thinking about when Europeans.
14, 15,
I know.
You're talking about like when natives first.
Yes.
16.
People outside of New Zealand tend to just go, oh, it was
17,
discovered, you know, so
18.
late. But no, really, New Zealand history started, you know, 700-800 years ago. And let's not forget that fact.
Well, going American centric for a second. 1492 is incorrect.
I mean, it's when. Yeah, no, you are right. It's when a lot of people say. Because even if you want to say
But
when
like
Europe.
instead of like
Anyways.
whatever, but like the Americas have been around for literally over 100,000 years, and New Zealand's been around for a few thousand in terms of a population.
700-800.
No, we just said the population of New Zealand only got to New Zealand in about 700-800 years.
The Aboriginal people
Ah.
got to New Zealand
Oh, I just
700 to
didn't.
800 years ago.
I guess I just like ignored that. Didn't even hear
Yes,
it.
you were being American Central again.
Hey,
I was
listen.
trying to hint at you to shut up, but
Okay,
trying
yes,
to.
I'll shut up. I'll shut up. I'll shut up.
Okay, so that's when the Maori discovered New Zealand. The Maori, and this is why we have our ties to many of the nations, that, many of the islands that we do, is the Maori are direct descendants from
No.
the Polynesian people living like around the Cook Islands.
No.
What was that?
Oh my fucking god, I'm choking, dude. What the fuck is this, dude? I've never had that. Okay, sorry, you can continue now. That was my outburst. My outburst is over.
Remember the respawn, okay?
Yeah, I will.
Okay. Remember the respawn. Okay, so let's see. So discovered around 1200. No arguing, Coral. Was discovered by the Polynesians, so like all of the Cook Islands and such. We don't know which island, like which group of people first discovered it from those islands. But essentially, all of these people, they created like large canoe-like ships with like outriggers and such. I believe you would typically get kind of like groups of like 20 to 30 people that went on these ships. And yeah, they just set sail, navigated by the stars, and eventually found New Zealand, a large landmass, like over 2,000 kilometers away from home. That is how New Zealand was discovered, was by those Polynesian explorers.
Is it that you miss people? I find it hard to believe that people did not find New Zealand all that time.
Keep in mind, New Zealand was found in the medieval era.
But even still, I would have thought it would be found.
2,000 kilometers away from any other landmass, basically.
Well, when did the Aboriginals arrive in Australia?
Australia is like 2,000 kilometers away.
Is it really?
Yeah, well, okay. At its
Alright, wait a
absolute
minute, wait,
closest,
wait.
I think it's 1400, but for the
Wait,
most,
how many miles is that? Do you know?
it's
I don't
like
know
over-
it's around 1,000
Okay.
at minimum. Oh wait, sorry, 1400 was to the absolute closest, island, I think actually, or something. If you go from pretty much anywhere in New Zealand to the Australian mainland, it will be 2,000 kilometers. Okay, so
Maps that I've seen generally don't look like New Zealand's like
New Zealand is half the distance across the US away from any major landmass. And then the next closest is Papua New Guinea,
that puts things more in perspective.
and that is 4,000 kilometers away. After Papua New Guinea, you get Indonesia, which is 7,000. In fact, Antarctica is closer. Antarctica is 3,500. So is 2,600 kilometers away.
Well, when did the natives arrive in Antarctica?
Alright. That was a good run, but it's over.